Hey, what's up? I'm Ignace Aleya from ToleratedCinematics.com, and today it's another Motion Graphics Monday where we will be continuing on last week's tutorial about how to create an awesome and clean audio spectrum in Adobe After Effects. Last week we saw all the basics on how to create an audio spectrum. In this week's tutorial you will see how to add a little bit more dynamic movement in your scene, make it a little bit more cinematic and create a little bit more depth in your scene. So very simple. If you didn't see last week's tutorial, definitely go and check that out first, and then without further ado, let's start with the tutorial. If you enjoy my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos. Okay, so here we are in Adobe After Effects, and as you can see, this is what we created last week. And yeah, let's continue working on this one. First of all, I want to change the color a little bit of my player here. So I will actually zoom out here and make sure that everything has a different kind of color. So I will go to the audio spectrum right here and then go to effects controls and change the inside and outside color to the exactly same color. So pick a nice warm color and then copy this code right here. This code is going to be the reference, well, it's actually our color code, which we will paste right here also. So just select it, Ctrl V to paste it and click OK. So now we have our color in our first audio spectrum. Select the second audio spectrum and then go again to these colors and just Ctrl V, click OK, click over here, Ctrl V. And that's going to paste all of these colors. For the text, it's a little bit different. What we need to do is add a fill here. We can do this by going to Effect, Generate, Fill, and click on the color, paste the code, click OK. Same for the text right here. We can actually copy our fill effect this time. So edit, copy, or Ctrl C, and then select both of these layers and just paste it. So now we have a little bit of a color. Maybe it's not perfect yet. Maybe you want to make it a little bit more kind of reddish, a little bit brighter also. Okay, I like this one here. Okay, so it's completely up to you. You can go and copy this fill again and then paste it on our time code. Okay. All right, so now we changed the colors. Now we want to add the particles on our audio spectrum like they're coming from the audio spectrum itself. We'll create a new solid layer. So go over here, new solid layer, audio spectrum particles, and click OK. Then go to Effect, Simulation, and add the CC Particle World, which is a plugin that comes within After Effects. And then we want to open up our Particle tab. Here in the Particle tab, we want to change our particle type to a faded sphere. This is going to make circles right here. And then we want to lower the birth size and the death size. So we can actually lower this holding the Control button on your keyboard, because if you hold Control while you're dragging, you're going to have a lot slower movements, and it's going to lower it in value a little bit slower. So we can hold Control and drag this down all the way to maybe something like 15. And then this one, we also want to make it down like this, maybe 130. Now we have a lot of variation going on. Size variation, we can bring that up to 100 as well. Max opacity, 100. And then change the colors to your preference. I will go for a nice orange color. And there we go. And there we go. Okay. And then click OK. So now if we're going to play this, if we're actually going to take a look, these are our particles. It's kind of explosive, and that's not what we want. So we can close the particle tab here and go into the physics tab. And here we want to lower our velocity to 0.1. And then our gravity, set it to 0, and actually bring it up a little bit. Not too much, but we want our particles to actually fly up. Something like that. Go into the producer right here, and here we want to 0 out our Y and then increase the Z until it's actually the same kind of width as our audio spectrum. We can actually use our positioning tools right here to actually put it right into place. So bring it down. Again, you can hold Control to do it a little bit slower. And there we go. And let's see. We can also change our blending mode here. If you don't see this, toggle the switches right here. Change this to an add Okay, so now we can really see our particles, and actually I want to make a few changes in the particle itself again. The red, I want to change this to a darker orange, click OK, and also lower the biggest size of these particles like this, and also the smallest size. So now we have a very subtle kind of particle flying from our audio spectrum. We can also go to the birth rate right here and just lower the birth rate a little bit, just like that. And there we go. We have a few particles, not too much. It's also really important to keep everything subtle. A lot of people that start with After Effects or anything in general tend to overdo things and make it a little bit too obvious and really like push the colors, push this, too many particles. Try to keep it subtle. It doesn't necessarily have to be noticed by your viewers. It has to be something clean, something subtle, and just not overdone. It's really important. Clean is the key in professionalism, in my opinion. That really varies from project to project. I'm just trying to say, don't necessarily overdo things here. Before we continue this video, I would like to present you our website designed for filmmakers and video editors to improve their workflow. We offer templates, presets, high-quality pre-made packs, soundscapes, essential graphics, and much more. If you don't have time to create something of your own, or you just want to speed up your workflow, definitely check out our website with the link in the description below. Okay, there we go. This looks pretty cool. I want to lower the gravity a little bit more because currently it's going a little too fast upwards. So we'll actually extend this to 0.035. Okay, perfect. So now we have some particles coming off, and that's amazing. That's just simply amazing. We have our particles nailed down. Next, we want to create a new composition. So create a new composition. This is going to be our fill triangle loop. And then we will add a width of 100 and a height of 100, and then just click OK with a 10-second timeline. Click OK here. And now we want to actually make a triangle. Before we do that, we can actually go over here and click on Title Action Save. That will make this in the center, so we actually see where the actual center is of our scene. And then we want to go over here to the rectangle tool, hold it, and go to the polygon tool. Now go to the center of that cross, make sure that your cursor is kind of in the center of that cross, then click on that and drag it out. And here you will see that you now have a hexagon. If you click on the arrow down key on your keyboard, you're actually going to notice that now you're going to have less points. And there we go, we have a triangle. Okay, so if we make this a little bit bigger, and we can actually hold shift to make a perfect triangle here. And there we go. If we release this, and there we go. Now press R on the keyboard and click on the stopwatch for the rotation. At 2 seconds, we want to increase this by a lot. Something like this. Then right here at 3 seconds, we want to create a new keyframe by just clicking on this diamond, which will make an identical kind of value keyframe. So there's not going to be any movement, as you can see right here. So it rotates, comes to a stop, stays at that position. Then a little bit farther in time, we want to rotate it the other way maybe. And stop somewhere you like it. Then here again, a new keyframe. So we have a freeze, a little bit further into time, rotate it again, but not too much. Okay. And then maybe hold this for a very short time. And then we want to copy our first keyframe in our timeline. Hold Ctrl, press C on the keyboard to copy. And then at the end, Ctrl V. And now we have this kind of animation. Stop, animate backwards, stop, and then animate forwards. Okay. You can actually select these keyframes and adjust them a little bit more. Now we want to select all of our keyframes, right click, keyframe assistance, and then easy ease. Now open up the graph editor right here by clicking on this icon, and make sure you are working in the edit speed graph by clicking over here. If you're working in the speed graph, you will actually see something like this. It ramps up in speed, comes down, stop. This is a stop. It moves backwards, stop, and it moves forward, stop, and backwards again. So now what we want to do is actually select all of these keyframes and adjust them a little bit more like this. Just bring these anchor points in a little bit. And what that will do is actually smooth everything out. It will ramp up in speed, be at its max right here, slowly come to a stop, slowly start again. And now you have a lot more flow in your animation. So I really love working with Easy Ease. And let's do a preview. Okay, perfect. So now once we have done that, we can actually right click and go to the composition settings and increase the width to something like 1000. And there we go. Press P on the keyboard or hold Shift and press P on the keyboard. That way we will actually still have our rotation keyframes and our position right here. Go to the beginning and create a stopwatch for the position right here. Move to 2 seconds and actually move this all the way here. Then right here, create another keyframe. Right here, move it all the way back, maybe to the other side of the composition. Right here, create another keyframe to have the same value. Right here, we'll go back to the center on average, or maybe a little bit over the center. And then right here, we actually want to create another keyframe. Then also copy this first keyframe, move all the way till the end and paste it. So now we have this kind of animation going on. Again, also select all of these keyframes here. Oh. Right click, keyframe assistance, Easy Ease, and also open up the graph editor. Here we're going to do exactly the same thing. So drag these in like this and drag these in like that. And now if we're going to take a look, we're going to have this kind of animation. And now we want to actually fill our triangle right here. So go and make a fill, also a nice stroke. And then we want to go to our project manager, fill triangle loop, edit, duplicate this composition and rename it by hitting the return key. Rename it to stroke triangle loop. Open that up. Click on the shape. Disable the fill here by clicking on fill, disable, okay. And now we still have our stroke. Of course, you can play around with the width right here, but I think 8 is perfect in this case. And there we go. Go back to your main composition, and all we want to do is select these two compositions in our project manager and just drag them into our scene. Now what I want to do is select both of these layers, right click, time, enable time remapping. And now time remapping, and now the reason why we actually kept the first frame and the last frame exactly the same is so we have a perfect loop, so we can actually go ahead and loop this keyframe using the time remapping feature. It's really simple. All we need to do is open up the time remap effect, hold Alt and click on the stopwatch. Go here to this little arrow that you see right here, click on it and go to the property and select loop out. That's going to add an expression to your animation, but that's all you have to do. It's completely automatic. Click away, and now we can extend this as long as we need it to be. And now it's going to loop over and over and over again. Same goes for the second layer. Alt click, click on the arrow, property, loop out, and extend it. And there we go. Now we want to, of course, move this one. So go to your selection tool, move this one over here, duplicate it, maybe move this one over here. Press S on the keyboard, lower the scale, maybe T on the keyboard, lower the opacity, play around, make everything as different as possible, really play around with randomness. The more random it seems, the better it's gonna look. Well, depending again on each project. Duplicate it again, move one here, duplicate it again here, scale it a little bit even more, duplicate it, one here, and there we go. Let's take our fill triangle and also duplicate that one, put one here, duplicate it again, put one here, scale it down, duplicate it once more, scale it up a little bit, duplicate it, one here, and maybe a smaller one right here. And there we go. So now we have some variation in our scene. All we need to do is also offset the time of our triangles. This is going to create a little bit more randomness because right now they all animate exactly the same, which is fine. This could also work, but we don't want that. We actually want to offset all of them a little bit differently. And now select all of them and just extend them again. And there we go. Very cool. We can also go ahead and give them a color, so we can go and click on one of them, go to Effect, Generate, and click on the fill. Now we can use this pipette tool to actually pick a color from the scene, copy this fill, paste it on a few of these, pick another one, Effect, Generate, Fill, pick another color from your scene, and paste it on a few other ones. And of course you can do that for each one of them, so go ahead and do that. And yeah, you can also add some blur maybe. Adding some blur on the smaller ones can really kind of create the effect or the illusion to have some kind of depth in your scene. So go to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're actually working on this one right here. And blur it out a little bit. Copy this blur effect and maybe click on another one. Paste it here. Maybe this one also. And that's really cool. Okay, so lastly what we want to do is create hexagons that rotate randomly. Also doing the same thing, actually picking a new layer, new composition actually. Maybe make this 500 by 500. This is going to be our hexagon loop. Click OK. Open up your title action safe, go to your polygon tool, click in the middle, drag out and make a hexagon by using your arrow keys up and down. And then right here we have a hexagon. Increase the stroke like this. Press R on the keyboard and click on the keyframe for the rotation. At 2 seconds, move it a little bit forward. Right here, create another keyframe, more forward, move backwards. Right here, move forward. And then adjust the keyframes to your preference. And it's really simple, just doing it that way. Again, selecting all of these keyframes, right-clicking, keyframe assistant, easy ease, open up the graph editor, select all of them, drag these in, and drag these out, and there we go. We have this animation. I want to move this a little bit closer with each other. Okay, perfect. Going back to the main composition, we will actually select our hexagon loop, put it in our scene, right-click, time, enable time remapping, hold Alt and click on the stopwatch, go right here, property, and loop it out. Then just extend that layer, and now we have a loop for our hexagon. We can select our selection tool and then move it right here, maybe even scale it up. If you start seeing loss of quality, you can actually go over here and select this little icon right here on your layer. This is going to make sure that the vector shape that we just created is actually coming through on top of that composition. You can also go ahead and play with some blur, so blur and sharpen. Gaussian blur, just increase it like this. Press T on the keyboard to lower the opacity maybe a little bit. Then duplicate that one. Press S on the keyboard, scale it down, offset it a little bit like that. Maybe go to Effect, Generate, and add a fill to it with some of the colors of the background. Maybe less. of the blur, more opacity maybe. And what we can do as well is go back to the project manager and actually click on the hexagon loop and duplicate it, Control D, open that up and click on our layer and maybe lower the stroke path here. So actually the stroke thickness, go back to the main composition, click on this composition, click on the new hexagon loop composition in your project manager, hold Alt and drag it on top of that other composition, release it, and that will replace it right here. So that way you also create some variation, duplicate it, put one here, press S on the keyboard, lower it, offset in time, extend them, and there we go. So we're playing around and making really nice results here. So that's it. We have some particles flying from our audio spectrum, some particles, triangles that are shifting from left to right at a random order or a random pace, and a random rotating hexagon. This really adds a dynamic feeling to your scene and makes it a little bit more advanced than a regular scene. So yeah, and if things move randomly and it's kind of abstract, it really keeps the attention of the viewer. So yeah, that's a fun thing to play around with. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give this video a like. Definitely check out our website. We have a bunch to offer. Also subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. And of course the girls too.